Okay, I'm going to try to go over a couple of these examples for you just to kind of show you the setup of how to do this. I will get the final answer. I know you said you didn't want the final answer, but I will get the final answer. So what we need to do is look at each of these things and look at what it's asking. So in part A, it's asking what is the rate in milliliters per hour. So our final answer we'll put over here, our final answer, we need it to be in milliliters per hour. Okay. And what we're going to do is use the data that they gave us to convert stuff into milliliters per hour. So we have something per hour already. We have 25 milligrams per hour. So let's write that over here, 25 milligrams per 1 hour. Now, what we need to do is then use this other information that we have to get rid of the milligrams and convert it to milliliters. So basically what you're doing is setting up various fractions so that you can have the milliliters at the top and you want another milligrams on the bottom so that you can cancel the milligrams out. So we'll do that. So we know that this is 500 milligrams and 1,000 milliliters. So we can flip that around and say that's 1,000 milliliters per 500 milligrams. Okay. So now we have two fractions here. We can multiply these together, and just based on regular fraction arithmetic, you can cancel these values here, and now we're left with milliliters per hour. So if we multiply all this together, we get 50. So the answer to that one is 50 milliliters per hour. So this is A. Now if we want to do B, it's going to be the same thing. So we're trying to find out how many drops per minute. So we have drops per milliliter here. So let's write that down. We're going to start out with 60 drops per minute. I'm sorry, 60 drops per milliliter, per 1 milliliter. And what we want to get over here is how many drops we have per minute. So we need some way to get milliliters out of the bottom and replace it with minutes. So we know that this from part one, we know that if 25 milligrams per hour, okay, we've already converted that 25 milligrams per hour to milliliters per hour, so it's 50 milliliters per hour. So we can multiply this, 50 milliliters per 1 hour. Now these milliliters cancel. But now we're in a situation where we have drops per hour and we want drops per minute. So we need another fraction here. Well, we know there's 1 hour per 60 minutes. So again, those hours cancel. And now we're in drops per minute. And then we can either multiply all this together, or we can notice that these 60s will also cancel. So we end up with 50. So the answer there is also 50. Okay, so on this one, there's a couple of, there's a slightly different type of problem. So on part A, it's asking us for the concentration. So all we have given to us is units and milliliters. So basically to find the concentration, we're just going to try to figure out how many units there are per 1 milliliter. So that's going to just be 20,000 units divided by 500 milliliters. So that's 40 units per milliliter. So that's the answer to A, is the concentration. All right, and now B is another one of our conversions. So we want to end up with milliliters per hour over here. So we want to end up with some number in milliliters per hour. It's asking us how many milliliters per hour. Now we have units per hour, so we can start with units per hour. We have 800 units per hour, per 1 hour. Now we need to convert units to milliliters. Well, we just did that here, but it's 1 milliliter to 40 units. So we'll have 1 milliliter over 40 units. Okay, so now the units cancel, and we end up with milliliters per hour. We just divide these, and now we get 20. So that's the answer to B. So, a lot of these are just figuring out how to set up the problem is a big thing. And if you end up with some multiple values, like let's say for example on this B that we set it up wrong and we had units per 1 hour, and we tried to multiply that times 40 units over 1 milliliter. Well, we can see that none of that's canceling, and we're going to end up with 2 U's on the top. We can't cancel anything out. So the big thing to remember is to try to get these fractions where you have the cancellations on, one on the top and one on the bottom, so that you can cancel things out and get up, get to the final answer, which, like we had here, was 20 milliliters per hour. So this is wrong, and this is what we're trying to do here. Let me move to another problem. All right, so this next question is very similar to the one we just did, number 4. So we want to know the concentration of the solution in units per milliliter. We're given here for A, we're given 50 units per 500 milliliters. So divide that out and we get 0.1 units per milliliter. So that's the answer to A. And B, we want to know the flow rate in milliliters per hour. So our final answer is going to be milliliters per hour. And we have 1 milliliter per minute. So 1 milliliter per minute. And you can kind of see just by looking at that, the answer is going to be 60. If you have 1 per minute, 1 each minute, there's 60 minutes in an hour, you're going to have 60 per hour. But we can also, do what we've been doing before. Put 60 minutes here over 1 hour, and the minutes cancel, and we get 1 times 60 over 1, so that's 60. So that's the answer to B. And then C, we want to convert this to units per hour. So we're going to start with 60 milliliters per hour. And then we have here times 0.1 units per 1 milliliter. So this cancels, and 60 times 0.1 is 6. So there's our answer to C. All right, one more question, and then I'm going to send this to you so you can look at what's going on. So this is going to be another conversion. So we want to end up in milliliters per hour over here on the end. And we need to look at what we have. So we have something in grams per milliliter. We have something in milligrams per minute. So we don't really have hours here, but we can convert that to hours. So what we're going to start with is this 4 milligrams per minute, okay, per 1 minute. So we're going to multiply that times 60 minutes in 1 hour. Those cancel. So now we're in milligrams per hour. Okay. Now, how do we convert these milligrams to milliliters? Well, we have here 1 gram in 500 milliliters. So we first need to convert milligrams to grams. So do that. There's 1 gram and 1,000 milligrams. So now these cancel. So now we're in grams per hour. So we're going to multiply that now times 500 milliliters per 1 gram. Okay, let me move this over a little bit because this is not, it's a little too close here. All right, so I'm going to move this. So now, this is basically what we did in the first few problems, but it just had a couple of extra steps because we had to convert grams to milligrams or milligrams to grams because we were given this function in grams per milliliter or grams per 500 milliliters. So, but you can see here we did all the cancellation. These grams are supposed to cancel. Now we're in milliliters per hour. So now we just need to multiply this through. This is 240 times 500 divided by 1,000. So that's 240 times 500 divided by 1,000. So 500 divided by 1,000. So this is 120. So once you have it all set up, it's just a thing of putting it in a calculator or doing it in your head. I did it in my head here because I knew that 500 divided by 1,000 was the same as 1 over 2. So then 240 times 1 over 2 is 120. So again, just making sure that you get these things set up so that they cancel each other out. And we could have started in a different place here. We could have started with this value, say 500 milliliters per 1 gram. We could have started with that. We still need to get to milliliters per hour here. So now we're going to have to somehow get hours here. Well, again, we know milligrams per minute, so if we convert this, we're going to have 1 gram over 1,000 milligrams. Now our grams cancel out. So now we're in milliliters per milligram. So now we have 4 milligrams per minute. So now we've got 4 milligrams per 1 minute. And again, those cancel out. Now we're in milliliters per minute, and then we just multiply 60 minutes times over 1 hour. The minutes cancel. And again, we end up with the same thing. We end up with 500 times 4 times 60 over 1,000. Same thing we ended up with here. So as long as you're following the steps and converting things as you go, it doesn't really matter where you start. You're going to end up in the same place. So this, starting at a different place, we use the same information, same conversion. We ended up in the same.